Hey Generals, Mac here with a near end of season fantasy football update. With the fantasy football season coming to a close, we interviewed local fantasy football aficionado Gunnar Natherson for his notes on this fantasy football season.
Alright, so could you just state your name and grade for us, please?
I'm Gunnar Natherson. I'm a senior here at WNL.
What have been your main takeaways from the fantasy football season so far?
This season, well, a lot of injuries going on, a lot of big players going around, a lot of Cooper Cup owners, he's out for the season. A lot of Jamar Chase owners really had a twist on them. And me personally, a Breece Hall owner, that really twisted me up, and as a Jets fan.
Why is fantasy football so enjoyable to you, and what is your favorite part about it, if you can pick one?
I feel like the engagement with the actual game of football, because I feel like you can engage with other teams. It's a way that you can maybe know the league a little bit more, maybe cheer for other players that are not on your team. It's, I think, a better way to engage kind of with the NFL and a way to grow the league. That's a big way that the NFL has grown, has been through that.
So, were there any particular players that were big draft surprises or busts in any leagues that you had, or just in general?
Bust. Well, Najee Harris was a huge bust in leagues. I mean, he was going late first round, early second round. He completely busted out. I guess you could say Jonathan Taylor was a bust going first overall. And like I mentioned, Dameon Pierce was a huge surprise. I guess Amon-Ra St. Brown was going later in draft board, so he was a huge. I don't know if he was a surprise, but I would say is a steal. I guess, well, Nick Chubb was going later in drafts, and he's the running back one, and Josh Jacobs would be my other guy.
How did you fare in your teams this year, in your leagues that you were in?
My teams are doing okay. I mean, I have two teams. They're doing fine. I think I'll be playoff teams in both of them.
All right.
And yeah, I think it's okay. Could be going better.
Okay. Do you have any possible tips for drafts next year that maybe you might be taking in, or that you might offer some advice to other players?
I think drafting more rookies more often, because you see, especially late in years, you have rookies break out really in their roles come playoff time. So I think rookies, you have guys like Garrett Wilson breaking into their role really right now. You have a Kenneth Walker who's really broken through. So I feel like rookies, like you saw last year, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you had Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle as rookies. So I feel like rookies are kind of undervalued going into a draft. So if you can swipe a rookie late, like one of my proud picks was getting Jamar Chase in the 8th round a couple of years ago. So I feel like swiping rookies would be a big suggestion of mine.
All right. Lastly, do you have any tips for playoff teams, or do you have any players with favorable matchups for the fantasy football playoffs?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy I really like. He has a very favorable playoff schedule. He's been great all year. He's been one of the top receivers. And you want to see a guy like that who's getting a huge target share and a lot of touchdowns. And also a guy I like, maybe some Jets fan bias, would be Garrett Wilson. He's seen 2 20-point games with Mike White. So if Mike White continues to be the Jets quarterback, he could have some favorable playoff points. So those would be the two guys I really like.
All right. Thank you very much.
Audio Jungle.